Welcome back to 3D Dialogue. We're talking about spirituality and Aboriginal art, and we're in studio with Randy Charboneau, a native artist. Now, before we go back to discussing your paintings, perhaps you could tell us a bit more about the necklace that you have on today.
Yeah, this is a Tutanaga, and it's from New Zealand. It was given me by a Maori elder, and it was about what she explained to me is it was given to her because she had brought communities together in a really healthy way, and she gave me that because of the work I do, and it was a really amazing honor for me. So it's an honor to wear this today.
Right on. Great, thanks. Now let's go back to three more of your paintings that we were fortunate enough that you've brought in. This first painting, go ahead.
This is called Relationships, and it happens to be when we're in relationships when somebody says you don't belong, what you're doing is crazy, I don't support you. And when somebody treats you like that, it becomes really gray. That spirit becomes really gray. But when you have that capacity to simply step beyond them and just simply say goodbye in a really gentle and a cool way, that life will flow back into you. And those 7 circles talk about love, truth, honesty, respect, bravery, and wisdom.
Right on.
And that eagle is that one that guides you. And there's always that spirit above that eagle that talks about that little one that says on your shoulder, time to move on, or, guide you in a good way. So it's about living in healthy relationships.
And what about the sort of red and the different hues of red?
The red represents that strength of that heart, that medicine of the heart. So when you have that heart to move on, that heart to find that capacity within yourself, it's really, really powerful.
Right on. Yeah. And the next painting that we have?
This is about being connected. There's a man and a woman on top of this hill, and they're connected to the circle, and it represents the 4 colors of man, yellow, red, black, and white. And it's about a creator that's out there flowing, that spirit of the creator. And beneath them there's a yellow circle and orange that talks about that fire within your heart and your community. And it's about a man and a woman sitting across from each other, sharing wonderful words and about being connected to one another. It actually, when I created this image, it was about my wife and myself. And so it was about us living a healthy relationship and being connected.
Great. And finally, the third or sixth painting that we have today.
Yeah, this painting is called Returning to the Teachings. At the beginning of time, the Creator had given us original instructions, and it seems that our lands and our communities have been sick, and all races of man were given original instructions on how to be. And this Creator has come down in the form of this eagle, this thunder being, and there's that egg, that shell of life, and this man and woman have climbed to the highest peak on this hill, and to reach up and grab this because they're the ones that are going to bring it back. So in a sense, they're the elders. And below them are the 7 ancestors that have brought them to this life, that paved the road for us. And then to the other side is the water that represents the 4 colors of man on the back of a turtle. And that talks about a creation story that the earth was created on the back of a turtle, and that's where the term Turtle Island comes from. So it's when we learn to come back to the teachings, not just Aboriginal people, but everybody goes back to the original ways. So then we can find that harmony, that peace within our communities, and that's what's really important.
And certainly it strikes me that there's a lot of meaning when one is able to go and look at these stories, whether creation stories or other stories that tell us about who we are and how we got there. Do you find that when working with other people, they'll have that same reaction when they're exposed to these types of stories, or when they have the opportunity to tell their own stories?
Yeah, they're meaningful. They're mindful of what's going on in life, and they really want to reach back to those things, but a lot of them have lost their ways as well. But the greatest thing is that most cultures start to understand, especially in today's day and age where there's drums, songs, and dancing, and that's the root of it. When you can get back to that, but the greatest thing amongst us all is language. Language is everything, and language is culture.
And having stories to help share this type of language, I think, is what inspires people and gives them hope that they can live a better life or live the life that they want to live.
Definitely. When you're able to get back to the original instructions of your people, all those stories unfold, and you start to see each other in a really gentle way, and or the meaningful way, knowing that what you're doing is you're following the path of your ancestors, the work that they've done.
Now, going back to the subject of restorative justice, which we talked upon briefly in the first segment, your art was part of a book, I believe, on restorative justice.
Correct.
Can you tell more about the role that art plays in terms of your own presentation of and facilitation of restorative restorative justice?
Yeah, I'm a co-facilitator with Art Lockhart and Lynn Zammit, and we do this restorative justice training, and it's about community justice as well. It's about restoring the harm that's been done to communities, to victims. Restorative justice is about having the capacity to repair the harm that's been done, and the 5 key elements is sacredness, voice, connection, capacity, and community. When you're able to give a victim a voice, offender a voice, and a community a voice, then you're really finding a really cool way of repairing that harm. In the criminal justice system, like I had said earlier, doesn't allow that to take place. So restoring justice is about bringing a better way of life to people and allowing it to be okay.
Now, you mentioned when we were previously talking about restorative justice that our current criminal justice system tends to serve the judges, the crown attorneys, the lawyers. Do they have any interest in restorative justice? Do you find that they pose an obstacle to helping victims and people who are charged to pursue these types of paths?
Sometimes I find that restorative justice is slowly being accepted, and it always seems to be labeling of things. And Rupert Ross is an amazing crown attorney from Kenora who has embraced this way of life, and it's really been accepted in certain parts of Canada, and it needs to be really start being worldwide rather than just Canada.
Well, and it strikes me also, bringing in the work that you do with young people and youth at risk, that it seems there's a natural fit between the restorative justice approach and young people, in that they have their entire lives ahead of them, and our current system tends to malign them as criminals at the very start, yet restorative justice helps them with an actual rehabilitation. Do you find that that's quite successful?
Definitely. Restorative justice allows their stories to unfold. When we look at a child and they start sharing their stories about what had happened, then we start to understand other things that happened in their life that led up to that decision.
Such as like causes, and sorry, you were going to say?
No, that's fine. Yeah, when, some of them is sexually abused or physically abused or something that has happened, and they respond in a tragical way to these things. So.
Well, thank you very much for coming in. That's been fascinating, and your art is very inspirational. Hopefully more people of our audience will have access to it in the future. That was Randy Charboneau, a native artist who also works with youth at risk. Next on 3D Dialogue, the Scarborough Missions have developed a new way of learning about multi-faith issues. Right after this short break, please stay tuned.